Alrighty folks, this is Brandon under the maple tree, and I'm going to be answering some of your questions that you guys have sent in about the CERB and the emergency wage subsidy. I've got quite a few questions that were sent in to me, so I apologize in advance if I don't answer your questions specifically, just because a lot of the questions end up being a little similar or overlapping. I had to filter them somehow in order to reduce repetitiveness. Before I get started here, I also want to clarify that I don't work for a CRA and I am not an accountant. While I tried my best to do the research to answer these questions as best as I could by talking to local MPs, the accountants, and representatives at CRA, take everything here with a grain of salt. And if you have any questions that require clarification or are ever in doubt, I highly recommend that you contact CRA yourself or talk to your accountant to explain your specific situation, and hopefully they can help you out there. So anyways, I got my tea and some maple cookies, and let's get cracking. I'm going to try to answer some of the simpler questions first, and I'll leave the trickier questions to the end. So the first question I have here is from Facebook. I'm working part-time now and making less than $1,000. Is the $5,000 income for last year still applicable to be eligible for CERB? You can go to the website and you can see all the eligibility requirements there for CERB. But the short answer is yes, it's still applicable. The recent expansion of CERB, pretty much only one eligibility requirement has been changed, and that's the one that stipulates that an individual is required to be making no income to be eligible, but now they've expanded it to include individuals making less than $1,000 a month. But all the other requirements, like minimum age being 15 years old, minimum of $5,000, and having to lose your job because of COVID-19, those requirements are still all the same. And here's I put a slide there of all the eligibility requirements. And I also want to clarify that $5,000 requirement for last year. It can be last year for fiscal 2019 or the last 12 months. So for people who's recently got their job this year or the end of last year, you probably might want to look at your last 12 months instead. So that would include basically around March 2019 to 2020, 2019, essentially. Okay, so next question also from Facebook, the $5,000. Is it after or before tax amount? I might be a bit shy of $5,000 for last year. Okay, so yes, the $5,000 that CRA is looking at is the gross number. So that is before taxes. Also $5,000, the minimum requirement is really not that much. And it also includes, it's not just your job, your income sources that you get from your job, but all your income sources, right? So you have a side gig, like you're a freelancer, you do a little side gig, or have not had another part-time job or whatnot, side business, anything. All those incomes, your total income, as long as that meets the minimum requirement of $5,000 before taxes over the last 12 months or to the fiscal year 2019, then you're good for that requirement. So the third question here is from Yashina, also from Facebook. I have a question. My partners and I run a wellness clinic in Vancouver and have been hugely impacted by COVID-19. We're doing what we can to stay on top of things and came across an article by BDO that discusses wage subsidy programs. I hope you don't mind answering this quick question. We would like to bring back an employee under the wage subsidy program. She used to be full-time but wants to come back part-time and earn $1,000 a month. He wants to continue to receive CERB benefits and therefore stay under $1,000. Our question is, can we still utilize this wage subsidy program for her if she's receiving CERB? It's a difficult answer. It is difficult to find answers anywhere online, as most material is based on initial CERB benefits that did not allow. Okay, Yashina, thank you for the question. This is a good question. I can see how it can be a little tricky and a lot of people can get confused. The short answer is yes. In the scenario that you described, she can be rehired, and as long as she's making less than $1,000, she will still be able to receive her CERB benefits. Previously, before the recent announcement where they expanded the CERB program to include individuals making less than $1,000, obviously this wouldn't have worked, and she wouldn't be able to receive CERB benefits if she was making any income. Now, you might, when you go online, you might see people talking about how it's either one or the other. You can either apply for CERB or you can apply for the emergency wage subsidy, but not both. It's either this or that, right? No duplication, essentially. That still holds to be true. But in the situation that you have described, from him or her's perspective, she's only applying for the CERB. She's even though you're paying her with under the wage subsidy program, that's not her concern. She has only applied for the CERB, right? You are the one that's applying for the wage subsidy program. So there is no duplication there. It's okay, it's fine, as long as she's making less than $1,000, her total income per month. Now, if she's making more than $2,000, right, she ends up making more than $2,000 and she's received CERB already, she will have to pay back that amount, the CERB amount, in that case. But yes, if she's making less than that, it is fine. Now, just to clarify a little even further, from your perspective, if you, for whatever reason, are eligible for CERB and you apply for CERB, you're getting CERB, you cannot, in that case, utilize the wage subsidy, because in that case, as an employer side right now, then you would be applying for both program, and you can't do that, right? But yeah, in short answer here, yes, the scenario you described, it should be fine. Okay, the next question. Why income supplement starts below $1,000 and not below $2,000? I'm making between $1,000 to $2,000. Is this going to be addressed? My personal opinion here is that this isn't going to be addressed, because there's probably not enough people that fall into this category. It is an issue, and you are sort of falling in the cracks if you're making, let's say, $1,000 or $1,001, and because of that reason you're not applicable. I will say that the reason why they probably are not putting it under $2,000 is because they don't want people who are making, say, $1,900 or $1,999 then be eligible and then get an additional $2,000 on top of that, and now they're at $4,000, right? So the CERB program, this temporary relief program, is not designed for people in that type of situation, which is why they probably didn't just put it under $2,000. Now, for a lot of people, you're not the only one that is kind of the situation where you're making between $1,000 and $2,000. So a lot of people are just maybe a little bit over that $1,000 mark. I know quite a few of these people that they are planning to just make sure they make under 1,000, then they will be able to collect on the CERB benefits. But yeah, it's just how the rule is set right now, and quite frankly, the fact is there isn't going to be a perfect solution that's going to be a one-size-fits-all, right? If they try to kind of fix all these little issues, they would need to it would be too bureaucratic, and there would be too many details, and it would be very, very complex. So I really think that they're not going to just address it. It'll probably be the way that it is, unfortunately. Okay, the next question comes from Carl on Twitter. I'm a sole proprietor till the end of February. I incorporated on March 6th. Can I apply for emergency wage subsidy? Yes, you can apply for emergency wage subsidy. I spoke to Business Inquiry just to confirm as well. You can apply. It does not matter if you are incorporated or not. You can be an individual. You can be a partnership. As long as you meet the other requirements, like revenue loss, depending on your period, between 15 to 30% revenue loss, and the payroll requirements, you can apply for the emergency wage subsidy. But whether you are incorporated or not, isn't important. Okay, next question from Facebook. I'm an employee of my own corporation and the sole employee. I pay myself a wage. Can I use the emergency wage subsidy? All right, this is kind of a funny question, but it is a gray area. All the details in terms of for the emergency wage subsidy haven't come out yet. I think there will be new information coming out, right? The application for that isn't even open till April 27th. So what I would recommend is that you just try to keep yourself updated and see if there's new information that will come out regarding this. But unfortunately, regarding this question right now, there just isn't the information that enough information I can't answer it. I inquired about it for CRA too, and that's what they told me too. Things are changing on like a daily basis, and this is one of them that's kind of in a gray area right now. So the last question I have here is from Matt on Facebook. It's also by far the most popular question that people are asking me. It says here, thanks for offering an FAQ in the coming days. My question is regarding the definition of earning $1,000 to qualify for CERB. Is that net or gross earning? I can't make sense of whether or not this is the amount I can expect to bring home for myself after business costs are accounted for or not. As a health professional, this would include monthly withdrawals for college fees, social fees, association fees, insurance fees, room rental, website fees, etc. If there's no consideration for costs associated with being self-employed, a decision will need to be made. Either feed your family, pay bills, etc. for your home, or keep your business afloat. Can't have both with what is being proposed, especially if you don't qualify for the business loan. Thanks, Matt, for the question. I know you guys are probably all expecting or hoping to get a very definite answer for this, but unfortunately, this is a difficult one, and I can tell you that it's one that confuses the CRA reps themselves. It's also one that a lot of accountants are struggling with because they're getting the same question and they are not quite sure how to answer it either. The first time I called CRA about this question, she simply said that she wasn't trained to answer this question. She wasn't sure, but if she were to speculate, it would account for the costs or business expenses as it should, because if you run a business or anything like that, that's the only way this would make sense, because otherwise you wouldn't be pretty much 99% or very large percentage of people would not be able to apply for CERB if they were using the gross sales number. I'm going to say gross sales because I think that's a little more clear, and I'll explain why. So that was what I was told, but she said she did not know. That was just her speculation. So I've also spoke to CRA, the Business Inquiry Department, and had a rather long discussion regarding this. I also brought it up with local MP to discuss this issue. And here's the thing. The script that CRA is given is gross income. It's not net income. It is gross income. That's the script that they're being given. Hey guys, I got some breaking update here. I had to reshoot part of the video. Some rather good news that I think you guys will be happy to hear about. So it's actually not gross income. It was gross income for quite some time, but they just recently released an FAQ update clarifying how they are going to be defining income for business owners going forward. So right now, if you're a business owner who's relying on business income, they're going to define your income as your net pre-tax income. So that's essentially your gross income minus your expenses before taxes. This is great news. It's what makes the most sense. It's what it really should be. because I know there's a lot of you guys out there that are running small businesses, many being single person run businesses or small family run businesses that currently don't qualify for the emergency wage subsidy, nor can you apply for the emergency business accounts because you don't meet the payroll requirements. And prior to this, when the CRA is defining your business income as gross income, the CERB doesn't work for you either. So you're essentially just falling through the cracks. I mean, never mind being able to make up to $1,000 in take-home income, as Matt would say, but a lot of these businesses are just breaking even, or they're even losing money, and they still can't qualify for CERB, because as long as you're making $1,000 or more in revenue or gross sales, you can't qualify, even if your expenses are greatly high, like greatly more than that. So this is definitely a very welcome change. I'm sure a lot of you guys will be absolutely happy and ecstatic to hear about this update. I previously had spoken to CRA Business Inquiry at length about this issue, and at the time they just told me that's just how they're defining it. Business income is going to be defined as gross income, net gross sales, revenue, what have you. That's just how it is. But because CERB was rolled out, I was told that because CERB was rolled out so quickly, a lot of finer details might still be worked on. So don't be surprised that there are further changes down the road. I also brought this issue up to my local member of parliament, and I was told that they are aware of this issue, and it was brought up in their committee meetings. They didn't have a solution for it at the time, but said that they likely were going to be liberal with the term income. What surprised me was the time frame that this issue was addressed. I didn't expect them to address this issue or fix it until a lot later, but I'm really glad that they clarified it now. There shouldn't be any confusion. It's all there on the website. You can go to the webpage and take a look at the FAQ. It's clear as day. There shouldn't be any confusion. If you call CRA now, I would assume that they will tell you it is net pre-tax income and no longer gross income. The only issue here right now is that since the CERB applications were open on April 6th, anyone that's been calling into CRA probably was told that it is gross income, and they're probably still under that impression now. So if you know anybody that is running a small business and was thinking of applying for CERB, just let them know that there's been a change and there's been this update, and it's no longer gross income, it is net pre-tax income. I don't think we can have hope for a better fix because this addresses the issue completely. It's also what makes the most sense. So I'm really glad that this has happened, and even more happy at the fact that it has happened so soon, and they ended up clarifying it now. The last thing I'll leave you guys with is this. If you're looking for more information about the Canada Emergency Response Benefit or the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy, I highly recommend first going to the dedicated web pages online to take a look at the general information and eligibility requirements. And if you still have questions after that, the best place to call is probably the Canada Revenue Agency or the CRA about questions like this. It's probably, I'm not gonna lie, it's probably gonna take you a couple hours before you get a hold of someone if you call. Those of you who have called the CRA know what I'm talking about. It probably will take a couple tries as well because the line just drops quite frequently, and you're just going to have to call again until you get through to somebody. The only thing I'll say is that if you're calling about CERBs, make sure you call the CERB hotline and not the general CRA number, because you'll likely just get redirected. And if your questions about the emergency wage subsidy or the emergency business account or even CERB but has a business element to it, I highly recommend calling the business inquiry department instead at the CRA, because they'll be much more likely to understand your situation and help you out more there. If your questions outside the scope of this, you can also try calling Service Canada. So that's 3 numbers there that you can call to try to get more information. And if you guys have any more questions for me, feel free to connect with me on Facebook or Twitter. You can send me a message directly. Many of you guys already have. And if it's something I can help with, I'll do my best and see if I can help you out. Until then, stay safe, be well, and continue to do good things.